Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, a Rams-Lions instant reaction. Just Paul on this one. We'll have Ziggy, Jack, Zach, the whole gang back tomorrow in studio talking about these not really entertaining wildcard games for the most part, but this one has lived up to all the hype with Jared Goff playing his old team in the Rams, Matthew Stafford returning to Detroit. This was in many ways the big game of the weekend, at least in my opinion. Dallas and Green Bay, obviously, the big brands. But in terms of storylines and what the actual product on the field looked like, you just saw an awesome game between two really good teams, two really good quarterbacks, coaches who with high intensity. This was, in every sense of the word, a playoff game. And the atmosphere in Detroit, worth the wait for 30 years if you're watching on TV, because this, and I'm sure if you were there, just unbelievable. This Lions fan base has been so starved of success for so long. And watching them get the win, you know, as an NFC North fan of the Vikings, it kind of stinks seeing the Packers and Lions go on these playoff runs here, as everyone who's been following us knows. But I have a few friends who are Lions fans, and this game meant the world to them. Jack was actually in New York City with one of our friends, huge Detroit fan at a Lions bar. Those final kneel downs, you could feel the emotion pouring out of Ford Field. You could see it on Jared Goff's face, just celebrating the final kneel down. This game meant more than just a playoff win to Detroit. This has been 30 years of misery for an entire city, an entire state of football in the NFL. And this win against that team, against that quarterback, just felt a little special for them. It was a great game from start to finish, really back and forth game. Stafford ends 25 for 36, 367, 2 touchdowns. If you told me that was his line at the end of earlier today, you would expect Detroit to win this game, but Jared Goff, 22 for 27, 277, a touchdown himself. Just really good quarterback play all around in this one. I mean, the night Puka Nacua had 9 receptions, 181 yards, a touchdown. You know, stars all over the field in this one. But it ultimately came down to the second half stops Detroit was able to make against LA. You take a look at the drives here. The second half was dominated by the Rams. 10 play, 66-yard drive. Field goal, 13 play, 79-yard drive, field goal. And then at the end of the game, you know, that crucial holding penalty moves LA back 10 yards to the 45-yard line instead of the 35. They have a chance to kick that 52-yard field goal. Maybe we're talking about a Rams win here. And on 4th and 14, I was watching the TV thinking maybe Sean McVay goes for this, because even though Detroit's offense has been sluggish in the second half, you've had a lot of problems generally this game getting stops when you need to. And they never got the ball back. And that's a testament to Jared Goff. It's a testament to Dan Campbell and the culture that he's built in Detroit. Yeah, he sometimes gets in trouble going on these gambles, but every once in a while, you know, you're throwing on second down when you should really keep the clock running, you win the game. And I love that personally. Go out there and win the game. It's been 30 years for crying out loud. Go take it from the Rams. Don't give Matthew Stafford the ball back, because ultimately he's going to win the game. If you gave the ball back to Matthew Stafford there, I'm expecting the Rams to win. So I love the approach from Campbell. Goff gets the job done. And this Detroit team is now hosting another playoff game. After waiting 30 years, they're going to get a second one, either against Tampa Bay or Philadelphia. With the way those two teams are playing, you have to feel pretty good if you're a Lions fan. It's almost too good to be true here. And our good friend Tom Monroe, who we shout out a lot, he said it was joy, how he was happy after the game, but also disbelief. I mean, right now you have to manage your expectations, but you're going to get a struggling Philly team, a banged up Philly team, or a Tampa team that's put up 11 points per game in their last 2. I mean, this is it. This is your chance, Detroit. You have Super Bowl aspirations right now. In all likelihood, you should be playing in the NFC Championship game. And we'll worry about it when we get there. Enjoy the win for tonight. San Francisco's their own beast if you wind up playing in the championship game. And who knows? I mean, Green Bay at this point is looking like world beaters. Maybe you host an NFC Championship game. But at this point in time, if you're the Detroit Lions and you're one of their fans, you're on top of the world. It has been forever. And this game was great. This moment was great. The future of this playoff run is looking very bright as well. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves again, but it's hard not to when you've been waiting this long. Just go back and look here. What's so fun about this Lions team, and what I'm sure many fans have latched onto this season, is the way it's been built from the ground up. The draft classes, and I'm not going to be able to mention everyone who's playing, but some of the big names here from 2021, Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra. 2022, you have Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams. 2023, Laporta, Campbell, Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, this Lions front office led by Brad Holmes, and Dan Campbell, got to give him credit too. He's up there high-fiving the Jahmyr Gibbs pick. These guys have nailed most of their selections, most of their important selections. We're talking all pro level players coming into this Detroit team. And that's what makes them so easy to root for. When you go and you acquire superstars, sometimes it's a little harder to get behind that team. But for Detroit, it just feels right, doesn't it? Having them built this through the draft, bringing in Jared Goff, who looked like his career was on the way out. And next thing you know, he's with Dan Campbell, and another easy guy to love and cheer for. And this Lions team now, with all this heart, with all this grit that they have, in many ways, symptomatic of their head coach, they go and get this win here. It's a fun team to root for, and not necessarily that I'm pulling for Detroit, but it's easier compared to the Lions or the Bears to sit back and say, good. I'm sorry, than the Packers or the Bears, and say, good for the Lions here. Good for that win. Good for that team. Jahmyr Gibbs too. Let me just say, that guy's great. He is so quick. When he gets the ball, he's shot out of a cannon every single time. I know a lot of people don't like running backs early in the draft, but this dude, I mean, when you pair him with Montgomery, he's special. There are enough players on this Lions offense that you get the ball in their hands. We haven't even talked about Laporta battling through injury to come back. It looked like he was done after that Vikings injury. And now, he had a big night tonight, a couple big catches. This Lions offense is for real. And if they can keep Goff protected up front, and they did an okay job tonight. 3 sacks isn't great, but for the most part, Goff had a clean pocket. He can pick you apart. And when you give him the weapons that he has right now, he's capable of making noise against any of these defenses. It's a really talented Lions offense, and sky's the limit for them over the next few weeks here. But you got to keep Goff upright. So just wanted to shout out Brad Holmes. I mean, that's those draft picks are crazy. The Vikings we've talked about before on the show here with Kwesi, he missed out on Kyle Hamilton and instead went with Lewis Cine, who hasn't played at all. It's hard to nail these first round picks. When you acquire so many of them too, you're thinking, okay, we can build up, but you got to nail the pick. And the Lions have done that. So, congratulations to Detroit again. I am happy for you at the end of the day. Even as a Vikings fan, it's nice to see some success go somewhere else. The Vikings fans are very bitter. I feel like a lot of fan bases who are devoid of success tend to root against success for other teams. And I'll say I'm generally in that field. I love to see heartbreak in football because that's all I've experienced. It's bitter, but it's true. But this one feels good for the Detroit fans that I know. And it's a hungry fan base, man. These fans, they're ready for success. And if they somehow get to host the remainder of the NFC playoffs, it is a daunting building to go into at Ford Field right now. Super Bowl run is on the table. Crazy, but it's on the table for the Lions. It's on the table for the Packers too. Real quickly on the Rams front, speaking of teams that have nailed the draft, Puka and Kyren Williams, they have this offense in good shape for the future moving forward. Who knows what's going to happen with Matthew Stafford over the next couple months, couple seasons? How much longer is he going to be playing? Dude still got it though. The entire night, he showed you that when he's healthy, he's a borderline top 5 quarterback in the NFL, certainly top 10. He makes all the throws. Tough dude. He had that hit on the ground. You saw his eyes bugging out of his head. It looks like he might be concussed. He's holding his arm. And next thing you know, he's coming down the field and nearly led them on that game-winning drive had it not been, in all likelihood, for that penalty there. I mean, Matthew Stafford's as good as they come. And if he decides to keep playing for the next year or two, this Rams team, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year. And they were a couple moments away from being in the divisional round. That's a lot on Stafford. That's a lot on McVay. Impressive season for LA. You come up short of your ultimate goal, which, 31 teams do. But this Rams team we are talking about coming in the bottom, 5-10 of the league heading into the season. And I think Matthew Stafford turned a lot of heads and reestablished himself as a superstar in the league this season after a down year last year. So kudos to the Rams. It sucks to lose in playoff games, especially 24-23 type of games. Not that I have much experience as a Vikings fan. Most of the time when we get knocked out, we get the crap kicked out. Actually, I don't know. I'm thinking the Seahawks game, Saints. We have our fair share of heartbreak in the playoffs recently as well. But it's a great year for the Rams. I think that if they had won this one, I probably would have taken them over Philly or Tampa. I'm not a big fan of either of those teams. So we'll be back with more of the wild card reactions tomorrow. Jack's Steelers and the Bills. Not expecting a great game, but you never know. Pittsburgh, one of those blue sky franchises that we talk about. And then Eagles Tampa, not particularly excited to watch that one. But if Philly gets the win, the NFC teams want Philadelphia to lose that game. I don't think anyone's scared of Tampa. Not that Philly's playing particularly well at the moment, but you don't want to see them. So defending NFC champion, maybe the Packers would have to go to that building. No one's going to have to go to that building likely, but you don't want Philly still. Philly versus Tampa, we've given the choice. So we'll see. We'll have more reactions. We're going to have a ton of Packer content, a ton of Houston content this week. These young quarterbacks are putting on a show, and we can't wait to give you more. So again, to the Lions fans who are watching, congratulations. Unbelievable win. This is what watching sports is about. I'm glad you guys got your moment because it's been a long time coming. And man, might be a while before the Vikings are kings of the NFC North again. See you soon.